friends, welcome to Wild Birds Unlimited. We're at Joliet, Illinois. We're at the Wild Birds Unlimited in Joliet. My name's Ellen. I'm here to tell you what's new, what's happening at the store, what's happening outside with your birds, what's happening in nature. So, we have a lot going on this weekend. Tomorrow we're having an in-store craft, and it's a after-hours activity. It's a workshop to create your own miniature bookcase. So if you haven't called to reserve your spot, then we might have a few spaces left. You got to call the store tomorrow morning to sign up to partake in that. It's at 6 p.m. So there's that. But next weekend we have a lot going on. So Friday, Saturday, the 13th, 14th, we have a plant sale here at the store. Native plant sale with Good Steward Ecoscapes. Andrew will be here so he can answer questions on the native plants and give tips and tricks for planting native in your own yard and what species would work best with your backyard habitat, right? So that's happening. June is also pollinator month, so pollinator party at Isla Cache is happening. So check out the Forest Preserve District of Will County for more information on the pollinator party. But on Friday the 13th, we also have a fun event happening in the store in the evening, 5 p.m. We're bringing it back by popular demand, the native container garden, build your own container garden. So it's pretty awesome. We are doing this for round 2. So the $45 to participate includes your fiber pot. So it's a sustainable pot that you can either use for the season to hold your plants in. You could also put that pot into a more decorative pot. You could plant it right in the ground. So you have multiple options to how to utilize the container that you are creating. But it is a sustainable pot. It also will include the soil and 5 native plants of your choosing. So there is more than 5 that are listed that you can choose from, but you will have 5. Your container garden will consist of 5 native plants of your choosing, and we make the plants. So we put the plants out here. We have tables set up, and you create your own container garden right here in the shop. So you can take it home and you can enjoy it for many, many years to come, because these are all perennials, so they will come back year after year. So that's exciting. Again, that is $45. You got to call the store to sign up, and there is limited seating, so be sure you call soon to get your name on the list to partake in that event, because it was very well received last time and people were asking to have us do it again, so we are doing it again, so it's kind of exciting. Also coming up the next weekend, we have a cat adoption event with St. Sophia's Forgotten Felines. We've had them for the past, I think, at least 2 years, but they've come and they bring their cat adoption trailer and they park it right here in the parking lot, and it kind of has little windows, so you can, go into the trailer. Yes, you can hold the cats and kittens, but you can also shop from the windows. So it's kind of a cool opportunity, and we love to support our local animal shelters and people that foster cats and things like that. So that's really a really great organization, and we love to support them. And on top of it, if you didn't know, one of the ways that we can help our songbird species is by keeping cats indoors. And one thing I love about St. Sophia's Forgotten Felines is when you adopt from them, you're promising to keep your cat indoors, which not only helps the birds and other wildlife species, but it keeps your cat safe. So we want to keep cats safe indoors, and we want to keep the birds outside and other wildlife safe too, and it's a perfect mesh. So they are going to be here on the 21st from 11 to 3, and then the next weekend is the 28th, and we are going to have a pop-up shop with Kate's Crafts. And if you didn't see her event that I've created here, she makes all these cute t-shirts and wind spinners and things like that, and she decorates them. They puts cute sayings on them and things like that. So definitely come out to support her. She is local, and we love to support our local artists. So thanks for that. We have lots going on in June, so stay tuned with all the information. Follow us on Facebook or check at our website. Our website is up to date with all the events coming up soon. But let's get to it. We have quite a couple things I want to talk about today. One, real quick, to start off, now we did the events, I want to talk about some of the new things we got in this week, but also things that are back in stock. So, back in stock, let's start with the new items that we've gotten. Some of the new items that we have, one is a seed product, but the others are, for example, our new mat mates. I don't know if you saw the Facebook post, but we've got new mat mates in. Check out this one. I love both of these. There's just so many to choose from. They're so beautiful. Oh, let's put it the right way. How about that one? Just gorgeous. I love the colors. I love that it has a bird on it. But equally as nice is this one, which is my other favorite. I love the color blue on here, and I love that it says just let it be, right? A lot of bees on there too. It's super cute. But mat mates, we've gotten new mat mates in. A couple other garden decors have come in. So be sure you stop by to check that out. The new food item that we have that has come in is we now have fine sunflower chips. And what you would utilize fine sunflower chips for, because yes, they are very finely chopped, would be for finches. So for example, I have a finch feeder right here. And you would put it in something like this that has those little itty bitty ports that would hold and not spill out the fine chips. Now you might be asking me, well, why would I feed sunflower chips over Niger or even finch blend? Well, the answer is simply because it's different and new and something else. But truthfully, sunflower chips actually have a much different nutritional makeup than just straight Niger. So if you want to help out your goldfinches and just offer something a little bit more nutritionally valued, sunflower chips are the way to go. Now, things to consider when you're offering this is that if your feeder, your finch feeder, is not in a place where, or is in a place where squirrels can get to it, for example, hanging in a tree, we might want to reconsider how we're hanging a finch feeder to offer a finch blend or sunflower chips, because both of them contain fine sunflower chips. And as we know, our squirrels are big lovers of sunflower seeds, and they will come to finch feeders that contain either straight sunflower chips or finch blend with a mixture of both Niger and sunflower chips. So that's something to be considerate of. And also, we would definitely recommend using a weather guard with any feeder that contains sunflower chips in it, because this stuff can get a little cakey if it gets wet, much more so than Niger. So, but it is a great product to use, especially during upcoming nesting season when our goldfinches are going to be starting to feed young or potentially prepare for their own egg laying and all of the tasks nesting season incurs when birds are nesting. So consider putting out nesting finch food as sunflower chips, because it's a great product to provide all the nutrition that they need during nesting season. Okay, so that's back, and we do have it in 5-pound bags, and I can get it in larger quantities if you would like. Just call the store or come in, and we can put in a special order just for that. All right, so those are my new items. We do have a lot of things that are back in stock, like Fiery Feast is back in stock, our Simply Suet is back in stock, all of the confetti, Cardinal confetti foods, the loose and the cylinders are back in stock. We also have gotten back in the suet ball mesh feeders. So it's kind of like a tube feeder for suet balls. So that's back in stock. But also, nectar guards, our port brushes are both back in stock. So if we did run out of these at the middle to end of last week. So we're back in stock with both of these. And also, finally, it's back in stock. We couldn't order it for some time. I think they had some supplier chain issues. But the red mesh feeder is back. I don't know if you remember this when we launched Cardinal Confetti, but this tray feeder hit was super popular. I love that it's completely mesh, so no water or anything is going to pool in there, and it's a great size for a sampling of seed like our confetti, Cardinal Confetti blend, or even nesting blend would be really great in this because it just holds just maybe probably enough for a cup of seed, but that's pretty much all you need when you're using a specialty seed blend anyway. Oh, blackbirds. Sorry, Lisa. If you checked out our last Friday Live, we did talk about some ways to keep blackbirds out of your feeders. Otherwise, if you don't want to go watch the whole live, you can also find them on YouTube. All of our Facebook Lives are pretty much on YouTube now. But you can also check out our website because all the tips that I gave during that Friday Live are all on our website. It's how to stop blackbirds. So go check that out and I'll maybe give you some tips and tricks. And if you still have questions or have want a little bit more help, I definitely recommend coming in the store and we can really tailor solutions to your backyard scenario. All right. Now tonight I have two other really great things I want to talk about. And I think we're going to do top 10 Father's Day gifts first, but the big one I really want to talk about is how to deal with sparrows and the takeover from sparrows, because yes, blackbirds are out there, starlings babies are out, but also I'm starting to see sparrow babies coming out, and I know that I just want to give you the tools in your hand to prepare for them, or if it's already happening to you, to be able to manage them, how we can slow them down or eliminate them completely from feeders. And it can be tricky because where blackbirds are typically larger birds, sparrows are small and they pretty much eat anything. So we have some tips and tricks to handle them and how to slow them down and keep them from taking over everything. Because even though they're small, they work by numbers. Whereas the blackbirds, even one at a feeder can be, they can bully other birds away. Whereas one singular sparrow might not be too bad for other birds, but when they have multiple friends and family and they bring in the babies, we're just adding a ton of birds to the feeders, and they act a little bit different. They kind of bully by numbers. So we'll talk about that tonight big time. But first and foremost, I want to go over some of the other things that you could potentially offer for Dad for Father's Day, because I asked the dads here and we brainstormed ideas that they would love. So these are dad tried and true gifts that dads would like from dads who would like these gifts. So let's go talk about them real quick. We're going to go kind of run around real quick and I'll talk about them, all right? All right, so the first one is our squirrel-proof feeders, because not only are all of our squirrel-proof feeders 20% off right now through Father's Day, but seriously, we have such a selection from suet to, suet, peanuts, to seed in a variety of styles, tube and hopper style. All of them are 20% off through Father's Day. So not only are you going to save, but you're going to save Dad the hassle and aggravation of dealing with squirrels when he's trying to feed the birds. No dad wants the drama of squirrels or the damage that squirrels cause. So that's top one that the dads wanted. The other ones that they wanted were, for example, bird reel. So our bird feeder, our bird reel lineup and consists of not only the new house, so it has a camera in a bird house, but also we have the two feeders on either side, right? We have the seed feeder and we also have the hummingbird feeder right there too. So those are great options. Dad always loves to watch the birds, and not only does he love to watch the birds from his window or from his backyard porch or deck, but Dad also likes to watch them on the go. So that was one of my dad's favorite things, because he likes to take the photos and the videos and show them to everyone, so that's a top one. Another thing that the dads like are the hardware, and specifically our pole systems. So over here we have not only the deck, the basic mount, we have let's try to do that again. Let's try to do this on this side. So the basic setup, it consists of the hanging setup has 2 crooks on it to hang 2 feeders. But of course we have all these different accessories behind me that you can add, and he can really create his own favorite feeder setup that he's always been dreaming of. But whether it's a hopper on a post, like a mounting kit, or one that goes off of a deck, we have everyone set up. So Dad can have his own setup the way he wants it, how he wants it, and really customize it to make it his own. What else did Dads want? Oh yes. Now, one of our favorite dads here mentioned chimes. And many of the dads that come in here always ooh and ah off of our chimes. The big one always gets the dad's attention. Now check that out. How beautiful is that sound? I love the resonation. They have specific keys depending on the size and the type of wind chimes that you're looking at, but chimes are a big one. And those Corinthian bells and the Shenandoah are both, those 2 lines of chimes are really great, and they're long lasting, and they're really well made. Last top 5 are going to be optics. Now, a lot of our dads love to look at the optics, whether it's a mini pair, something like this that's just grab and go right at the kitchen counter or something to look at the backyard birds, or maybe it's something more substantial, something a little bit bigger for outings, such as bird outings, or to go on hikes, or spot over the river, look at eagle's nest and things like that. These are going to be right up the alley to do all those longer distance, more magnification for bird viewing. So those are top ones. But of course, there are some tried and true gifts that I don't have listed on here, but I just want to mention that bird seed, bird houses, right, check out this one. I thought this one is right up a Dad's alley with that buckle and all that leather on there, and it's just really rustically made. They do have a clean out and perfect air ventilation, so birdhouse will also make a great gift for Dad. And if you're undecided because there's too many great choices, a gift card from Wild Birds Unlimited always makes a great gift for anyone, but not just Dad. So consider those things, all right? Got some good gift ideas for Dad. Maybe you already have your gift, but maybe you're just unsure and Dad's too tricky to buy for, right? All right, let's get to it. Too many sparrows. How do we handle it, right? Now, our house sparrows are non-native. So when I'm talking about too many sparrows, I'm not talking about the white-throated or the white-crowned. I'm not talking about the chipping sparrow or none of those sparrows. We're specifically talking about the house sparrow, the one that is non-native, that can outcompete and have adaptability much more so than some of our native birds. So they outcompete the native birds, for whether that's for food or for nesting materials and nesting sites. They outcompete. So that's why there is this negative sentiment around house sparrows, or when we shorten it to just sparrows. It's because they're non-native, and they give the native birds a hard time, whether that's fighting with them or destroying eggs and nests. They can be kind of brutal birds. But the matter of the fact is that they're here, and we have to learn how to manage them when they come to our feeders. Because in summer, like many of our other birds, they are also nesting. And like the starlings and the other blackbirds that we talked about last week, the sparrows soon will have babies that will be coming to your feeders in droves. And yes, they will bring the whole family along for dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, let me say that, right? So the thing is about these sparrows, in this time of summer or even in fall, like early fall, we see the same behavior where we just have tons of babies, so many mouths to feed, and they are looking for the easy food, right? So sometimes they come to our feeders, and they're going to feeders that normally they wouldn't even bother, right? Because, or going after food that they normally wouldn't eat, like finch food, right? The thing with sparrows and how to deal with them is that, unlike the starlings or the blackbirds, where we have specific feeders and food that we know is 100% going to solve the issue, sparrows aren't the same. In fact, we can't cage the feeder like the starlings and blackbirds because they're small and they'll just hop right through there. We can change the food a little bit, and there are things that they like more or like less than others, and we are going to use those likes and dislikes against them. That's what the plan is, all right? So let's get down to it. Let's talk real quick. I'll bring my card over because I have lots of things I want to show you. Let's talk real quick about the types of feeders that most people commonly use to feed birds, right? Hopper feeders, tube feeders, and tray feeders, all right? When it comes to any of those type of feeders, we want to avoid the cheap bargain blends. And I'm not just saying it because I want you to buy Wild Birds Unlimited food. I'm talking about it because of what is in it, all right? When you are buying that bargain blend, all that red you see in here with a little bit of good seed at the top, all that red stuff is filler, okay? And cheap bargain blends tend to use a lot of ingredients that is typically unwanted or just filler weight to make that bag meet the weight that they're trying to get, but it actually contains very little good seeds that the birds will want to eat. That's why Wild Birds Unlimited, we carry no fillers that the birds don't want to eat. All of it's 100% edible that the birds want to eat. Okay, so the number one is avoid those cheap bargain blends because that red, those fillers, that unwanted filler food, which tends to be milo, wheat, and millet, whether it be red or white millet, is just filling it up, okay? And what's bad about the bargain blends is not only does it contain ingredients that birds that you want in your backyard either don't want or don't eat, right? So you're not getting the cardinals, or the chickadees aren't going to find something that they really enjoy from those blends, but the sparrows love them because they love milo and they love the red and white millet. Those are their top favorite foods. So right off the bat, if you nix the cheap blends and go for a better blend, right there, you're going to stop and reduce the amount of sparrows that you're seeing at your feeders. Just in that. Okay, so where and how you're buying your food matters, okay, when you're talking about sparrows. The next thing I want to consider when you're using hoppers, tube feeders, or tray feeders is avoid using a seed blend that has millet in it. And we're talking about the white millet, that little round seed that we do carry seed blends. Ooh, we do carry seed blends that have millet in it. So this is actually Select Blend. We're going to talk about Select Blend, but Deluxe Blend has millet in it. We have a couple no-mess blends that have millet in it. And millet is loved by many of our ground-eating birds. So think towhees, think doves, think our sparrows, right? That little white seed here, that little round white seed, that is white millet. And those sparrows love white millet. So right off the bat, if we eliminate white millet in our seed blend, that is already going to eliminate half the issue. Okay, so blends such as Supreme Blend. Okay, Supreme Blend has sunflower chips, oil sunflower seeds, safflower, and some striped sunflower seeds. Okay, Choice Blend has no millet in it. No mess, some of our no mess blends do have it, and I'll talk about that soon. But any blend that has no millet in it is already going to avoid half the battle of sparrows. Because oftentimes you see them kicking out all the good stuff like sunflower seeds and peanuts just to get to the millet. So if we avoid the seed that they're really coming to the feeders for, you're going to limit how many sparrows come there. Okay, here is my pro tip. When you're using hoppers or seed tubes or tray feeders, this is what I recommend, okay? Offer a seed blend with millet in it, like deluxe blend or a no mess blend with millet in it, in a tray feeder. Okay, because with this high lip on here, they're not going to be able to kick it out. Okay, but alternate, and at the same time, right, this one blend is going to have millet in it, the seed blend. This feeder is going to have a blend without millet in it. This way, everyone is going to have something to enjoy. All right, we're not going to exclude the doves. We're still going to enjoy feeding the doves and the towhees in a tray feeder. In our hopper feeder and our seed tube feeders, we're going to offer Supreme or Choice that has no millet in it. That right away is going to solve that problem for you. Okay, it's going to slow them down and severely reduce the appeal. Okay, if you use even safflower or striped sunflower seed, both of those are harder shells. It takes a little bit more time, and these birds at this time of the year are looking for fast, easy food. They don't want to sit and have to shuck shells on hard shelled seed. So blends like that are going to severely reduce the appeal of the blend or the seed that you're using in the feeders that you're trying to use, okay? So let's talk about the no mess varieties, because yes, we have 3 no mess varieties, and each one of them is popular and loved by so many people, not only because it doesn't make a mess with no shells in it, but it also is very popular because it's loved by many, many birds. So each of my no mess blends here, the 3 of them, cater to a little bit different selection of birds. But there are 2, well, 1 blend and 1 straight seed that you can offer that will still be no mess, that is going to not contain the millet that the sparrows love. Okay, that is no mess plus, has no millet in it, no corn in it, or straight sunflower seeds, chips. Now this is different than the fine. Okay, these are more whole kernels. They are not finely chopped like I just showed you with the fine chips. They are chopped a little bit, but not finely, okay? So this blend, the regular chips, are not going to fit in a sunflower or a finch feeder. This is going to be much better used in a seed tube feeder or a hopper feeder, even a tray feeder. Okay, so just consider that. But because it has no, no millet in it, you're going to reduce the rate of how much they eat. Okay, and plus they're not going to be kicking out all of the good stuff, the chips and the sunflower seeds, the peanuts. They're not going to be kicking out of that because there's no millet to be found. The reason why they kick all that seed out is because they are selecting those millet seeds that they're sorting. Okay, they're kicking out the stuff they don't want, and they're eating the things that they do want. So let's remove the things that they want from the seed blend and reduce how much they eat. Okay. Let's talk real quick about seed cylinders, because sometimes we find that I don't usually typically see a ton of sparrows on my seed cylinder feeders, but when they have a lot of mouths to feed, they're going to look for any option that's easy food. And our no mess cylinders, seed cylinders, or cranberry fare can sometimes be a little bit too appealing with all those fun ingredients, and some of them even contain no shells, so it's very easy for them. If you put out safflower, the problem solver, okay, just like our starlings who have a tricky time eating this seed, so do your sparrows. Okay, it's not a favorite of theirs, and in the cylinder form, it almost is a bad dream that they are having when they come to this. because they want something quick and easy. Not only do they have to work out the seed, then they have to shut this little shell, and it's just sometimes a little bit too much work. So we find that if you switch things over to safflower, that you kind of reduce the amount of sparrows that are hanging out and eating at your feeders. All right? Let's talk about finch feeders. So we talked about how sometimes they will come to our regular finch feeders and eat the Niger, even when they don't eat Niger normally, or finch blend, or sunflower chips, that whatever you're offering in your finch feeder. And sometimes it's better to not change the food, but change the feeder. Okay, and for this particular bird, we would recommend using an upside down finch feeder. So this upside down finch feeder is unfortunately only available in store. So if you're looking to order it online, unfortunately I don't have it listed online, but I can send it to you, or you can schedule it for a pickup here at the store by calling the store. So how this works is there is a perch here and the hole is below it. So yes, the goldfinches or house finches who are totally capable and do this out in the natural world will hang by their toes and eat from the hole below. Now, unfortunately, fortunately for us, sparrows are not great upside down eaters. In fact, they kind of stink at it, and they definitely don't have the toe grip to hang upside down for long periods of time to eat seed. So an upside down seed tube feeder, like a finch feeder like this, works really well to keep the goldfinches coming back, but keeping those sparrows kind of at bay. And this is my recommendation, is have one of each out. Okay, have a regular finch feeder that perhaps has your favorite finch foods like Niger or finch blend or something like that in there, and then have another one in the upside down feeder. Okay, when you have both of them, if let's say the sparrows kind of overload the regular seed finch feeder, your finches still have something to go to and they won't abandon you. Okay, you have one, how to clean out this one. Okay, so this one you have some screws here. If you take out these screws, this bottom will slide out, and then you can stick a seed tube brush in there. Okay, that's how I would recommend to clean this one. This one is super, super easy because the bottom has that quick connect base. As long as it's a new style, some of our really old Wild Birds Unlimited seed tube feeders have a base that actually has a screw in it still. It was before they made the quick clean base. So with this, you take the bottom off and then you're back at scrubbing. We do have a very long, we have a brush that's, I'll show it to you. Let me go get it real quick, just 1 second. This brush right here is a long C2 brush, and this works really well to get into those long C2 feeders, right? Push it all the way in there, turn it around, get it on the other side of those perches. That's the way to do it. I totally recommend these brushes. This one actually has a really nice, good handle, so it's not going to come apart. Once upon a time, they were made with wood, and if you had an old one, your wooden handle might have broken, and then you just have this kind of wiry stick. But this nice plastic handle is a lot more sturdy, and I think over time, it won't break down like a wooden one would. But these are great. Yes, absolutely, Donna. This is the way to go to clean any C2 feeder. Absolutely. Tried and true. Love this brush. All right. So using an upside down feeder will definitely limit and prevent the sparrows from taking over your finch feeder. Okay. If you offer both styles, if the goldfinches get kicked off of their normal one, right? Normal one, then they have an upside down one to go to that they don't have to compete the sparrows for, because they're not going to be able to hold up to the competition. Sparrows outcompete them. In fact, goldfinches are the low man on any totem pole. They are the bottom of the barrel for dominance on any feeder. So if we give them an option on what to go to, you might find that they might be going to this one because the sparrows are all over this one. All right, so that's my recommendation. Use both, and then you can still get them coming to their favorite feeder. But if they can't fit there because the bullies are, the whole gang is there of sparrows, they have something to go to because the sparrows can't use this efficiently. All right. And let me tell you, if you have that one rogue sparrow that can figure out an upside down finch feeder, let me tell you, it's few and far between, because not all of them are going to be able to do it. And in fact, they're not going to be able to do it for very long. So it severely reduces the amount of time they are on that feeder, because they can't hang upside down like a goldfinch can for long periods of time. So that's that. When it comes to peanut feeders, and we know how much birds love peanuts, and you know I always say peanuts are a game changer when you're feeding birds. If you've never fed peanuts before to birds, I challenge you to feed peanuts this summer and see the explosion of activity that happens at your feeders, okay? But when we're having sparrows take over, it can be tricky to offer peanuts out of the shell. So for that reason, I would recommend you switch to peanuts in the shell, because they don't really want to mess with that shell. So they will leave peanuts alone. On the plus side, many of your other birds that love peanuts will gladly take peanuts out of the shell that are in the shell, such as your woodpeckers, your chickadees, nuthatches, titmice. They will all gladly do this. Plus, peanuts in the shell are a top favorite for blue jays. So if you really want to attract blue jays to your yard, consider offering some peanuts in the shell, and I'm telling you, they're going to go to town on them. I swear, it's like I put them outside and I hear them as soon as I'm out there with the peanuts. So definitely. Yes, and we're going to talk about suet just here, because so what she's talking about is an upside down suet feeder, kind of like this guy, right? So this is one way we can keep sparrows from eating all of our suet, is because it hangs upside down, and again, they have to cling. But again, it's going to slow them down because they cannot hold themselves like your woodpecker can. Okay, they can't hold themselves upside down like chickadees. Yes, they'll try to do it. Yes, they'll flap around and look like probably complete fools, but they will try, but they're not going to be able to go through suet like if it was on a regular suet cage feeder, right? Where they sit there and they're just going to peck and eat it until it's gone in a day, right? So this is going to slow them down, right? Let's talk about suet real quick, because this time of year we start switching over. And what I mean is switching over from a beef tallow suet base to a no-melt corn based. Okay, so they're both are the same kind of similar suet. One is naturally nuts and one is nuts and berries. And yes, we carry them in two varieties. One in a beef tallow base and one in a corn base. We use no-melt suet more so in the summer or warm months, because our beef tallow based suet can melt and even spoil in warm weather. Now, we're not quite there where you have to switch from your beef tallow suet to no melt, but it's important to be mindful of what type of suet you are getting and how you're offering that, because there is a difference. All right, so because it is corn based, the no melt, that corn is just enough corn to hold it together, but it's also just enough corn to be very, very attractive to your sparrows. So if you have the choice, like right now where we're not in super hot temperatures and you can still do beef tallow suet, I would highly recommend that you do so if you're getting a lot of sparrows, because this is going to be a lot less attractive to them than a corn-based suet. all right off the bat, okay? The other thing to consider is that not all suet is made equally. And what I mean by that is like our WBU suets or super suet or versus, let's say, the bargain blend suet that you can get at any box store, okay? Some of those bargain blend suets, and it's not so much what they're based out of, but what other ingredients are in there. Okay, sometimes and oftentimes bargain blend suets contain grain fillers, just like with the seed, right? Those unwanted suet, those grain fillers like wheat or cracked corn or seed like millet or milo, red millet, I see oftentimes in those bargain blends suets. Those grains are not very attractive to birds that typically come to suet, like your woodpeckers, okay? They would much rather have a suet that's filled with peanuts or peanuts and fruit or mealworms, tree nuts, things like that. That is why with our suet you'll never find those unwanted fillers because one, it's not very attractive to birds that love suet, but it also is very attractive to the non-native sparrows that would gladly eat up bargain blend suet, okay? So when you're out there looking at suet, consider what's in it and what it may attract, all right? The other thing I often see in bargain blend suets, and sometimes it's even like around Oriole time, so like now, you can go to the store and you will see Oriole suet, and it claims that it has oranges in it, but really it's just orange food coloring or orange artificial flavor. Yes, that's a real thing that happens. But we know that just like humans, artificial flavoring and artificial coloring does nothing for us, but harms us a little bit, right? Some of that unnatural colorant and stuff can be harmful to humans. Well, the same thing goes for birds. And on top of being maybe harmful, it has no nutritional value. So really consider what kind of suet you're putting out there, because those few extra dollars that you might, $1 or $2 that you might spend for good quality suet is worth it if you're going to put out suet that has no nutritional value. All right, so consider something like that. Something else about suet, we're still in kind of we're in an okay time to use Simply Suet, and just like Simply Suet we use for our blackbirds, Simply Suet also works for sparrows because, like I just said, they love the fun ingredients that suet often is carried. So they like the seed and even the nuts and fruit. They will happily take that. But when you put out just rendered beef tallow, like Simply Suet is, you're kind of taking away the fun and the reason why they're going there to begin with. All right, so Simply Suet is less appealing to the starlings, but also less appealing to the sparrows. But your other suet eating birds will still eat it just the same. Okay, now will they love this equally as much as, let's say, naturally nuts? No. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you that woodpeckers are gonna like Simply Suet more than naturally nuts. Absolutely not. They will love naturally nuts or any other suet that contains those fun ingredients in it. But if they had a choice between battling a flock of sparrows for suet or using a Simply Suet, they will gladly take the no battle option. Okay? It's still nesting time. They still have to probably rear young or feed their newly fledged babies. It's a busy time, and no one has time to fight and potentially get injured or harmed. Okay, it's a busy time, and it's an important time. They need to use the resources, come to the feeder, and get what they need, and then go back to their families. So if you can, as the pro tip, put this feeder, like this fun, great food, in a upside down suet feeder, and alternatively put the Simply Suet in the easy to get suet cage or tail prop feeder that the sparrows can easily eat from. This is going to be less attractive to the sparrows, and they may leave the favorite regular feeder of your woodpecker alone, Now, if they are going to this feeder by chance, you could just put this one up here and it'll definitely take the challenge. You're challenging your sparrows to a game of acrobatics, and they're going to have to hang upside down to try to eat this, but I'm telling you, it's going to slow them down, and it'll probably be very entertaining for you to watch as they flap and flutter trying to eat upside down. Right, Donna? Right? Now, the option, the last option that I have for how to slow down or how to handle a sparrow takeover is the one that works probably, I'm not going to say the best, but it is very effective, but it involves having to share. Okay, this next option is giving them their own feeder. But what you're doing is you're not sharing the food on the pole or in the area where you're feeding all the other birds. We're talking about putting their favorite food, like straight millet, or at least a blend with a high millet count in it. Like our select blend is mostly a millet, a little bit of cracked corn, a little bit of sunflower chips. Okay, putting a high millet blend in a seed tray with that high lip. Okay, this does a couple things. By putting their favorite food in their own feeder, you're really attracting them. But we're putting this feeder away from all the other feeders in your yard. So if you're feeding up close to the house, we're going to put this feeder in the very back of the lot. Okay? Somewhere away from the other feeders, because essentially we are luring the sparrows away from feeders that we really want the birds to use. Okay, so if you put the millet in here, not only is it going to keep it all in here when they do their sorting and kicking out of things, it's all going to be in here because that high lip, they're not going to be able to get the millet out. But also, it helps because you're offering their favorite food. So you're putting it all in one feeder. We're going to use what they like and bait them away. Does that kind of make sense? We use that hanging thing for the ground mix for, yep, exactly. You could totally do that too. Good idea. Yeah, a ground tray feeder would be work too. Just be mindful that if it does have a blend in it and there are other ingredients, they may kick some of that other ingredients out. But if it's a ground feeder already, you're probably not too worried about things potentially getting on the ground. But this is a tried and true method. I have used this method, and many of our customers here have used this method to try to reduce the amount of sparrows. And maybe we have to use one of the others in conjunction with this one. Okay, maybe we're going to use an upside down finch feeder, but we're also going to put a tray of millet in the back of the yard. We're going to switch things over to some safflower because we're dealing with sparrows and starlings, but we're also going to put the tray of millet in the back. Now you may find that your mourning doves and towhees, indigo buntings come and visit a tray full of millet, because millet is also loved by all of those birds. So there's not too much negative associated with giving house sparrows their own feeder. You may be surprised at who ends up showing up, like a beautiful blue indigo bunting, or your beautiful calming mourning doves will come and visit. You just might be surprised who shows up. But I hope that kind of helps. You guys have any questions on sparrows or any other topic while I'm here? You guys always have some good questions. I know sometimes you guys have questions after the live ends, and it's okay to put them in the comments, because I will always go back either tonight or tomorrow morning and look at your comments and respond back to you. So if you think of something after the live and you want to ask it, put it in the comments here. The other thing that we are doing too is if you really enjoy coming to the store or hearing our information on our lives or in person, we really would recommend that and love to hear your thoughts on our store. And if you could give us a Google review, that would be super awesome. We would love that. But anyway, guys, hope you have a wonderful weekend. It's supposed to be a fantastic weather this weekend, so I hope that your feeders are busy and you get to see maybe some newly fledged cardinals coming to your feeder. Look for their dark bills. Okay, they look like mom, both male and female juveniles, but they have a dark bill. So look for them. I'm starting to hear more sights of hummingbirds, so that's exciting. Orioles are still hitting the feeders, but I want you to know that soon Orioles will be starting to take care of young that have hatched. And when they do that, we might see a little bit dip in the feeder activity of our Orioles at our feeders. And that is natural. It's not anything you did. It's not because they didn't like the feeder anymore. It's because they are taking care of their young. And their young are majority raised on insects. So they're coming to our feeders sparingly, not like they were pre-hatching, right? The adults are coming for adult takeout, meaning quick, easy bite of food, and then they're out back foraging for the babies. So once those babies leave the nest, that's a few weeks later, they'll leave the nest, and mom and dad will bring them to your feeder to enjoy all the goodness that feeders have to offer. So keep that jelly or those oranges or the nectar fresh. That's the best way to do it. When you start to see the dip in activity, only offer half the amount you are currently offering so that that food stays fresh. And when they do return, they're not coming to a spoiled container of jelly or a skinned over dried orange. You are offering the freshest food. Remember, your feeders are their favorite place to eat. So make sure that you are like your favorite restaurant. Always open and always providing the things that they like. Okay? That makes your yard their favorite spot and worth coming to check out every single time. All right? You guys have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you then. And you guys have a great weekend and enjoy your birds. Bye now.